Walk into most homes in this country and open the cupboard under the kitchen sink, and you'll find a small fortune in plastic bottles. A dozen different chemical cleaners, each one bought for a single job, each one full of harsh stuff with warning labels you're not meant to read too closely. And my people clean our whole homes, every corner, brighter and fresher and more truly clean than most, with just a small handful of humble things that our great-grandmothers used. Things that cost pennies, things you could very near eat. Today I'm going to give you that whole forgotten way of cleaning, the old cupboard of simple cleaners that beats every one of those costly chemicals at its own job. And I'm going to give you one secret in particular that most folks have never even heard of. A free and powerful cleaner that's been shining right down on us the whole time. So let me get right into it. Let me name the whole old cleaning cupboard for you first, so you see how few things it truly takes. There's vinegar, plain white vinegar, the cheap jug of it. There's baking soda, that humble box of white powder. There's washing soda, a cousin of baking soda but stronger, a workhorse for the tougher jobs. There's a good plain soap, and for the old folks that meant their own homemade soap. There's salt, and a lemon when you have one, and there's the one most folks never think of as a cleaner at all, the great free one I'll come to, the sunshine itself. That's the whole cupboard, not a dozen plastic bottles, just those few plain, cheap, honest things. And with them a family can clean a whole home, top to bottom, and clean it better and safer and for a tiny fraction of the cost. Let me take you through them. Start with the vinegar, for it's the great everyday workhorse. Vinegar mixed with water, about half and half, in a spray bottle is your all-purpose cleaner, and it handles the great bulk of the cleaning in the whole house. It cuts grease, it wipes down counters and surfaces fresh and clean, and it's one of the finest window and glass cleaners there ever was, leaving them clear and streak-free and shining, far better than the costly blue stuff. The old folks polished their windows with vinegar and old newspaper till they gleamed like crystal, and vinegar has a special power over hard water, that white crusty buildup on faucets and kettles and shower heads, dissolving it away where the harsh chemicals only struggle. Soak a crusted faucet in vinegar, or lay a vinegar-soaked cloth over the buildup a while, and it wipes right off. That one cheap jug replaces half the bottles under the sink all by itself. Then the baking soda, which is your scrubber and your scourer and your smell killer. It's a gentle abrasive, so it scrubs away stuck-on grime without scratching, cleaning a sink till it shines, scouring a tub, lifting the burnt mess from the bottom of a scorched pot. And it doesn't just cover bad smells, it actually drinks them right out of the air. Sprinkle it on a musty rug or mattress, let it sit to absorb the odor, then sweep or vacuum it away, and the smell goes with it. It freshens a closet, a shoe, a trash can, anything holding an odor, not by masking it with perfume, but by truly removing it. Now here's where I'll give you something folks in the modern world have near completely forgotten, the washing soda, for it's the stronger cousin that handles the jobs baking soda's too gentle for. Washing soda is a powerful grease cutter and a mighty helper in the laundry. A good spoonful of it added to the wash boosts your soap and lifts out grease and grime and stubborn dirt that soap alone would leave behind. It scrubs greasy stovetops and grimy floors and the really tough jobs. Now a word of care with it, for it's stronger than baking soda, so you wear gloves when you handle it, for it can be hard on the skin, and you keep it up away from the little ones. But used with that care, it's one of the most useful old cleaners there is, and most folks today have never even heard its name. And the soap, plain honest soap and hot water, is the foundation of all cleaning, the oldest cleaner in the world. The old folks made their own from simple things, and a good plain soap and hot water and a scrub brush and a bit of honest effort will clean a very great deal of what needs cleaning in any home. Add the salt for a coarser scouring, and the lemon for its fresh, grease-cutting brightness, and you've the whole cupboard, ready for near any job in the house. But now let me give you that great free secret I promised, the cleaner most folks never think of, and it's one of the most powerful of all, the sunshine. The plain sunlight of the sky is a natural cleaner, a natural whitener, and a natural freshener, all for free, and the old folks used it constantly. This is the real reason they hung their washing out on the line in the sun, and it wasn't only to dry it. The sun's light naturally whitens and brightens whites, bleaching out stains and yellowing gently and for free, so that sheets and shirts hung in the sun come in whiter and brighter than any machine could make them. And the sun and fresh air naturally freshen and sweeten cloth, driving out odors, leaving everything smelling clean, the way nothing from a bottle ever quite does. That fresh, line-dried smell folks love so. And the sunshine even helps kill the germs and freshen things that harbor them. This is why the old folks would hang not just laundry, but bedding, blankets, pillows, even rugs out in the sun and air to freshen and sweeten and naturally clean them. A mattress or a musty quilt set out in the sun and air for a day comes back fresh and sweetened, cleaned by nothing but the light of the sky. So don't forget the greatest free cleaner of all. The sun whitens, freshens, and sweetens, and it costs not 1 penny, and it's shining right there, waiting to be used. Now let me put a few of these together into the real jobs of a house, so you see how it all works. For your everyday surfaces and counters, the vinegar and water spray. For windows and mirrors, vinegar and water wiped clear. For hard water buildup, vinegar soaked on. For scrubbing sinks and tubs and scorched pots, baking soda. For odors anywhere, baking soda to absorb them. For the tough, greasy jobs and the laundry boost, washing soda with your gloves on. For the deep dirt, plain soap and hot water and a brush. For your whites and your bedding and anything musty, out into the sun and air. And for scouring and brightening, salt and lemon. You see how those few humble things, each turned to its proper job, cover very near everything a home could need? Let me give you a few more of the particular jobs, the ones folks struggle with most, because this is where the old ways truly shine. Take the oven, that dreaded chore folks buy those terrible, fume-filled cleaners for. You don't need them. Make a paste of baking soda and a little water, thick like frosting. Spread it all over the inside of the cold oven, right onto the baked-on grime, and let it sit overnight while you sleep. By morning, it's loosened all that mess, and you wipe it away with a damp cloth, a little vinegar sprayed on, lifting the last of it. No fumes, no harsh chemicals, just baking soda, doing patient work while you rest. Take the drains, running slow and starting to smell. Pour in a good bit of baking soda, then vinegar after it, and it foams and fizzes and breaks up what's clogging things. Then flush it through with a kettle of boiling water. Take the greasy stovetop, cut through with washing soda and hot water, gloves on. Take the toilet, scrubbed bright with baking soda. There's hardly a job in the whole house that one of these humble things won't handle, once you know which to reach for. Now let me spend a moment on the laundry the old way, for it's where the whole cupboard comes together most beautifully. The old folks washed with a good plain soap and hot water, a spoonful of washing soda added to boost it and cut the grease and lift the dirt, and a splash of vinegar in the rinse, which softens the cloth naturally and helps rinse the soap out clean, doing the work of the chemical softeners with none of the chemicals. For a stain, a paste of baking soda worked in, or a soak, would lift a great many of them. And then, and this is the crowning touch, out onto the line in the sun and wind to dry, where the sunshine whitened and brightened and the fresh air sweetened, so the wash came in cleaner, brighter, fresher, and better smelling than any machine and any bottle of chemicals could ever manage, and for almost nothing. That's a whole laundry done, and done beautifully, with soap, soda, vinegar, sun, and air. Not a harsh chemical in it, not a costly bottle, and a result that puts the modern way to shame. And let me say more about that sunshine, for I don't think folks grasp how powerful a free cleaner it truly is until they've used it. Set a musty-smelling quilt or blanket out in the full sun and fresh air for a day, and it comes back sweet and fresh, the odor simply gone, cleaned by the light and air alone. Do the same with pillows, with cushions, with a mattress dragged out on a bright day, and they're freshened and sweetened through. Hang your dingy whites in the strong sun and watch them brighten. A wooden cutting board that's been used hard, set out in the sun, is naturally freshened. Baby things, cloth of all kinds, anything that's gone stale or musty or dingy, the sun and air will freshen and brighten and sweeten, all for free, all with no chemical at all. The old folks understood the sun as a real and powerful cleaner and used it constantly. And it's perhaps the single most forgotten cleaning secret of all. Sitting up there in the sky, free, waiting, shining down on us every clear day, while we buy bottles of chemicals to do worse what it does for nothing. Let me also say a word about the old homemade soap, for it was the heart of the old cleaning, and there's real wisdom in it. The old folks made their own soap from simple things they had on hand, the rendered fat from their animals and lye, cooked together into a good plain soap that washed bodies and dishes and clothes and floors alike. Now I'll be honest and careful with you here, for the making of soap involves lye, which is a strong and caustic thing that must be handled with real knowledge and great care. So it's not something to attempt without learning it properly from a trusted guide, and it's certainly no job to do carelessly or around children. But I mention it because it shows how completely self-reliant the old home was, making even its own soap from its own materials, beholden to no store for the very thing it cleaned with. Whether or not you ever make your own, there's something to admire in that completeness. A home that provided even its own cleaning from the land and its own labor. Now I must stop and be the honest, careful neighbor with you, for even simple, gentle cleaners have a few rules you must know to use them safely, and I'd never leave them out. The first and most important, and hear me clearly on this one, is never, ever mix vinegar with bleach. If there's any bleach in your home, keep it far away from your vinegar, for mixing the two makes a dangerous gas that can truly harm you. The whole beauty of the natural way is you can leave the bleach and harsh chemicals out entirely. But if you have them, never mix them with vinegar or with each other. The second is that vinegar, being a mild acid, is not for every surface. Keep it off natural stone like marble and granite, for the acid can etch and dull them. And be careful with it on certain delicate wood finishes. For those, plain soap and water instead. The third, as I said, is to handle the stronger washing soda with gloves and keep it from the children. And the fourth is an honest word about germs. These natural cleaners are wonderful for the everyday dirt and grease and odors of a normal home, and the sunshine and vinegar even have real natural power against some germs. But for the times you truly need to kill dangerous germs, after raw meat, say, or when sickness is going through the house, you may want a proper disinfectant for those particular jobs, used carefully. The natural way handles your day-to-day beautifully. Just know there's a place for stronger measures in those few high-germ moments. With all that said, let me tell you why this way of cleaning is so much better than the cupboard full of chemicals, for the reasons run deep. The first is the cost. A jug of vinegar and a box of baking soda and a bit of washing soda and soap cost a tiny fraction of all those special bottles, and they last and last, doing dozens of jobs each. A family can clean its whole home for a year for the price of one or two of those fancy chemical bottles. That's real money kept in your pocket year after year. The second is what you're not bringing into your home. Those harsh chemical cleaners are full of strong, sharp stuff, fumes that fill your lungs, substances you don't want on your skin or near your food or around your children and animals. Every time you clean with them, you spread those chemicals over the very surfaces your family touches and eats from, and breathe those fumes into your body. The natural way leaves all of that out. Vinegar, baking soda, lemon, soap, sunshine, these are things you could very near eat. No poison warnings, no choking fumes, nothing to fear if a child gets into it. You can have a home that is truly clean and yet has no harsh chemicals lingering in the air and on the counters. And for a home with little ones crawling about, touching everything, putting everything in their mouths, that peace of mind is worth a very great deal. And the third is the simplicity, and there's a quiet joy in it. Instead of a confusing cupboard full of a dozen special bottles, each for just one narrow job, you have a few simple, honest things that do everything. There's a clarity and a freedom in that. The same simplicity that runs through our whole way of life. You understand exactly what you're cleaning with because it's just vinegar, just baking soda, just soap and sun. You're not at the mercy of the store and its ever-changing, ever pricier products. That's a small kind of independence, but it's a real one. And there's one more free thing that goes hand in hand with the sunshine, and that's fresh air itself. The simple opening of the windows. The old folks flung the windows wide and aired out the whole house regularly, and there's more wisdom in that than folks realize. A closed-up house grows stale, the same air sitting stagnant, odors building, dampness gathering. But throw the windows open and let the fresh air sweep through, and the whole house is freshened. The stale air carried off, the dampness dried, the odors gone, all for nothing. This is a real part of keeping a clean, wholesome home, and it's another thing we've near forgotten. Sealed up as we are in our closed houses with our chemical air fresheners, masking the staleness with perfume instead of simply letting in the fresh air that would truly cure it. So air out your home, open the windows, let the breeze pass through, let the sun in. A house that's regularly aired and sunned is a fresher, healthier, cleaner house than any amount of chemical spray could make it, and the airing costs you nothing at all. The old way understood that true freshness comes not from a scented bottle, but from the plain, fresh air and sunlight that are free to everyone. And that simple understanding would clear the chemical fresheners right out of most homes if folks only remembered it. Now let me step back and tell you the deeper truth in all this, the thing that runs through every one of these old ways. We were sold a lie, gently and over many years, the lie that cleaning required a whole armory of special chemical products, that we needed a different costly bottle for every surface and every job, that without them we couldn't get a home truly clean. And we believed it, and we filled our cupboards with them, and we forgot the simple ways that had cleaned homes just fine for hundreds and thousands of years. But those simple ways were never lost, and they never stopped working. That jug of vinegar is still on the store shelf, cheap as ever. The sun still whitens and freshens exactly as it always did. The baking soda still scours, the soap still washes. The knowledge just got crowded out by all the marketing and all the bottles, until most folks genuinely believe they need the chemicals. But you can reclaim the old way tomorrow and clean your home better, safer, and for pennies the moment you decide to. I remember my mother and grandmother keeping our home, and there was never a harsh chemical in sight. There was a jug of vinegar, a box of soda, a bar of homemade soap, a bucket of hot water, some clean rags, the clothesline out in the sun, and their own 2 hands. And our home was spotless, fresh, and bright. Cleaner than many a home I've since seen scrubbed with every product money can buy. They knew which humble thing did which job, knowledge handed down from their own mothers, and they cleaned a whole household with it, year after year, for almost nothing, and never once felt they were doing without. Watching them, I learned that a clean home was never about expensive products at all. It was about knowing the simple ways and a willingness to do the honest work. And that's a thing worth passing on, which is exactly why I'm passing it to you. So this week, before you buy another plastic bottle of chemicals, try the old way. Mix up a spray of vinegar and water and clean your counters and your windows with it. Scrub your sink bright with baking soda. Hang your whites and your bedding out in the sun and bring them in fresh and bright. Keep a bit of washing soda for the tough jobs, gloves on. And feel how a home can be made truly clean, fresh, and bright with nothing but a few humble things and the free light of the sky. The way homes were kept for all of history before anyone ever sold a chemical in a bottle. You'll save a small fortune over the years. You'll breathe easier and rest easier with no harsh chemicals in your home. And you'll have taken back one more piece of the good, simple, self-reliant knowledge that our grandparents took for granted and that we let slip away. If this is the kind of practical old wisdom you've been hungry for, the kind that saves you money and clears the harsh chemicals out of your home and connects you back to the good sense of those who came before, then stay here with me. There's so much more where this came from, and I aim to bring it back to you, one piece at a time. Subscribe, and we'll keep remembering the old ways together, because some of the most useful things we ever knew are the simple ones we let ourselves forget. And the humble old cupboard of cleaners that beats every chemical is surely one of them.